All right, so let's see what this looks like. So up at the top, they give you a lovely box. They're not as super organized as our notes, but all the information we just talked about in your notes is right up there. And they actually go into a little bit more detail with a right triangle and what you call the sides and the longest side. So, which we will get to when we talk about right triangles. But let's take a look. All right, so number one, directions say classify each triangle by its angles on its side. So let's look at the angles first. Okay. What I should see right away, hopefully you do too, is this box right here. Soon as I see that, I know that's 90. So I know that this is a right triangle. Okay. Even though that the other two angles, this angle and this angle, yes, they're acute. But as soon as you see that 90 overrides the two smaller acute angles, and we're going to call it a right triangle. Now we have to look at the sides. All right, so I got 14.14, 10, and 10. I notice that I have two sides, this side and this side, that are the same, and so that would be isosceles. Okay, now what you want to make sure that you understand with these is if you're talking about angles, if you're trying to classify by angles, then you're doing acute, obtuse, right, or equal angular. Okay, that's the four choices that you have for angles. When you go to look at the sides, the choices, you only have three. It's either scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. Okay, so make sure you understand that, okay? Because sometimes we have people that want to tell us, oh, it's a right obtuse. Okay, you're going to pick one word, and I'm just going to draw a line here. One word from the top four and one word from the bottom three. So one word from the pink and one word from what I highlighted green. All right, so let's look at let's just go across. Let's look at number 4. Okay, we'll start with our angles. I'm just going to look at the 113. I don't have any other numbers to look at, so I'm going to look at this angle right here. It's greater than 90. Okay, remember obtuse means greater than 90. Okay, I probably should have put that on the notes. So this is obtuse based on its angles. So it's an obtuse triangle. Now we got to check out the sides. I notice that this side and this side have the same markings. So that's two congruent sides. So that makes it isosceles based on its sides. All right, let's look at number 7. Again, I'm just going to stay with looking at my angles first. I have an acute at the top, an acute at the bottom, but I see my box. My box means 90. So this is a right triangle based on its angles. Now I check out the sides. They actually have measures, 3, 4, 5. They're all different. None of my sides are congruent. So that is scalene. All right. So let's look at number 2. Let's look at our angles first. All right, so I'm checking them out. 65, that's acute. 25, that's acute. 90, 90 means that's right. Remember I said they're not always going to put the box. So this actually is another right triangle. Because remember, to say an acute triangle, they all have to be less than 90. Now let's check out my sides. 12, 16, 20. Each one of those are different. None of them are congruent. So this would be scalene. Scalene means none of your sides are the same. Number 5. All right, check out my angles. All right, 60, 60, 60. Okay, cool. I'm tempted to go ahead and say acute, right? But this is that special one I said. Remember, if it's 60, 60, and 60, you're going to be tempted to do this because you're going to tell me they're all less than 90, but that is not the best description. If they all are equal, we want to call this equiangular. Okay, if you put acute, it will be marked wrong because that is not the best name for your triangle. Technically not wrong, but it's not the most descriptive fitting the 60, 60, and 60. Now let's check out my sides. So I notice this side has the same mark as this side, and so does this side. So what they're trying to tell you is that this side, and this side are all the same. They all have the same measure. So 3 congruent sides, that's your equilateral. And here's a hint. If it's equiangular, it's equilateral. If it's equilateral, it's equiangular. The they go together. All right, number 8, because we're going across. So let's check out our angles first. So 20, 25, 135, look at that. That's obtuse. So that makes my triangle obtuse. Now I check out the marks because they didn't give me numbers. I got 1, I got 2 marks, I got 3 marks. They're telling me all my sides are different. So that would be scalene. All right, give you 30 seconds to take a look at number 3. Okay, start with your angles. Decide on that. So you're looking at pink. The words highlighted up in pink. And then do your sides. All right, so let's see how you did. So I start with my angles, 23, 72, 85. Excuse me. Those are all less than 90. So this is actually an acute triangle. Haven't had many of those. Now let's check out our sides. 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks. So they're telling me that all of my sides are different or unique or have different measures. And so this is an acute scalene. All right, let's look at number 6. We're going to do 6 together because the problem is right here we don't have a number. So if I look, I got 22. Oh, let me change that to pink because we've been using pink for the angles. I got 22 at the top. I got 79 down here. So those are both acute. I don't want to make any assumptions until I know what this angle is. So real quick, you could jump over here, and we haven't really talked about this, but add 79 and 22 together. Okay, and so that would give us 101 if you add it together. Subtract that from 180 because you know all 3 together have to be 180. This makes that 79. Okay, so all of my angles are acute. So my triangle is acute. Now let's look at my sides. This side is marked as 11. This side is marked as 11. Has 2 congruent sides. So it is isosceles. All right, last one we're going to look at, number 9. Excuse me. Number 9, they're not giving me any measurements on my angles. Okay, so right now to me, they appear acute, right? If you just look at all 3 of them. All right, so let's hold off. Let's write acute, but something's going to happen that you don't necessarily see right now. All right, so let's check out our sides. This side is 25, this side is 25, and this side is 25. Okay, so all of my sides are the same. So we know if all my sides are the same, we call it equilateral. Now, when we had one like this just a minute ago, I told you guys, if you look back up here, I said if it's equiangular, then it's automatically equilateral. Okay, but you can also reverse that. If it's equilateral, by default, it's automatically equiangular. So while we're tempted to write acute right here, because they all look less than 90, if all your sides are equal, all your angles are also equal. Okay, so you actually have to say equiangular. So you need to, we're not going to do 10 or 11, but you need to make sure that you go back and study your definitions so you know what each one of those words mean. The 4 ways to classify by angle, okay, and you can even make yourself a note, okay, by looking at your angles, it's acute, obtuse, right, or equiangular. The 3 ways to classify by your sides, the bottom part is your sides, would be scalene, equilateral, and isosceles. So just make sure you study, make sure you know what those mean so that when you go to use them, you can use them correctly.